There has been mass panic here in Sydney. The area has been evacuated, and you can see behind me that it remains sealed off. In fact, there are people still gathering here, still very emotional, some breaking down in tears as they try and take in just what has happened. There are several witnesses I've spoken to. Some are just still in their towels from when they ran clean the beach, and they told me how they could hear the shots firing, and people were fleeing from the scene, running, jumping into cars, desperate to get away. Well, everyone I've spoken to here has talked about their desperation, but also about their sadness that they are feeling. This is an attack that has not only rocked the Jewish community, but the whole of Sydney.
Good morning to you, Helen.
Well, look, when we first arrived here about 8 hours ago, I would say the atmosphere here could only be described as eerie, but that has been quickly replaced by what I would describe as a deep sadness by the thousands of people who have wanted to come here to pay tributes have been laid outside, with more and more arriving over the last few hours. Now, the area surrounding Bondi Beach here is still cordoned off as a police investigation continues. And I'm not sure if you can see the bridge that's just behind me. Well, that is where the shooters were firing at their victims, and forensic teams have been there throughout the day as their investigation is continuing. Now, the Prime Minister here has called what happened.
Thank you very much indeed. We'll come back to you a bit later in the programme.
It's 24 hours on now.
Well, look, I can tell you we are at Bondi Pavilion, where I think you can see hundreds of people at that hill who have come here to support the Jewish community. 24 from the Sydney area. Now, the father was killed at the scene, while the son is in a critical but stable condition in hospital. Now, we know that their home was raided last night, and an Airbnb still in the wider Sydney area. We know that firearms have been seized, and we know that the father held a gun licence, and that is raising questions over whether there should be a tightening of gun laws here in Australia. There's also a lot of anger coming from the Jewish community about how well they are being protected, and we also understand that the son was known to Australian security services since 2019. Now, the Prime Minister here has called the terror act of...
Helen, thanks very much indeed.
Well, we understand that, as you say, one of the gunmen suspected to be involved in that Bondi Beach mass shooting had previously been investigated over his links to a Sydney-based Islamic State terrorism cell. Now, that is according to Australia's state broadcaster. Now, the 24-year-old, who has not been named officially by police yet, had been investigated for 6 months in 2019 by Australia's intelligence agency, but they deemed him to not pose a threat. Now, it's thought that he is currently in a critical but stable condition in hospital after allegedly shooting at a Jewish group celebrating Hanukkah at Bondi Beach. And it's this area here, actually, that mourners have been gathering throughout the day to pay tribute to those who were killed and injured. Now, we understand that his father was the other shooter. Now, during searches of an Airbnb and the family home, a number of guns were seized. Now, the Australian Prime Minister said they are looking into strengthening the gun laws across the nation, and this is after it was revealed that the gunman had a licence for a decade and had bought those guns legally. Now, some of the proposed changes could include limiting the number of guns a licensed owner can obtain and reviewing existing licences over time. Now, Australia's Prime Minister also went on to say that the acts are an act of anti-Semitic terrorism that has struck the heart of the nation.
Helen Keenan in Sydney, thank you very much indeed.
David was one of the first responders to help the victims. 3 of his friends were killed.
To hear.
Abdullah claims he isn't a hero, despite sacrificing his own safety to save others.
I wouldn't say I